Josh Jacobs, 24.8 years old, a running back we've loved since he's entered the league.
Can't believe he's only 24 right now.
He's been in the league for 5 years.
Yep.
Or 4 years.
He came in. He came in at 20. Yep.
And what a good time to peak, right? Do the Raiders franchise him? Do they re-sign him? It's hard for me to imagine them letting him go.
It is very hard at this point. He's put on so much good tape. He looked amazing this year. And supposedly, I was watching the game, and the commentator said that he wants to be a Raider. So it might even be something where he signs a long-term deal there. Like he was, obviously felt, hey, they're disrespected somewhat when they did not pick up the 5th-year option, but it wasn't to the point where he wanted to leave. It motivated him, and we've seen what happened. It's been fantastic this whole year. So he's
top 3 fantasy running back.
Yeah, and you know what it is? In the past, I feel like he's been nicked and bruised and stuff like that, and maybe hasn't been able to play through it. This year, he's been getting nicked and bruised and not practicing and stuff like that throughout the week, but coming in balling out, just absolutely.
But also, he's being used the way we've always wanted to be used. I mean, How many times in this podcast over the last 4 years have we screamed like, I don't understand why they're using Josh Jacobs this way. I don't understand it. Like, he's such a good pass catcher and running back. Like, he's so good at it, but they don't throw him the football. They're not using him correctly. And then they come in, they draft Zamir White hot, like, oh, here we go again. It's like, and we said earlier, like, we love Josh Jacobs, but this isn't us saying it. Like, Zamir White probably the starter by the end of the year.
Right.
We were wrong.
We were dead wrong.
It was never dissed to Josh Jacobs. We loved Zamir White's tape, and we just thought by them not picking the 5th-year option, drafted him high enough, that's where it was going to end up.
Yep.
What's the value on Josh Jacobs? Like, obviously, clearly a first. Like,
yeah.
But what beyond that?
It's more than a first for sure. I think it might be more than first and a second, right?
I would say a first and a second.
It might be a little bit more.
Actually, it's going to be more than that.
It's going to be more than that, man.
Because of what he's doing right now.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm not paying that price.
Me neither.
And to be fair, I want to use this in case you don't listen a lot. Like, my stance is I'm not buying any running back going into their second contract.
Right.
Like, I'm not buying those guys for this price. Like, I'd much rather go buy Kareem Hunt. I'd much rather go buy Alexander Madison and gamble that way, or gamble on a rookie. With that first, I could probably draft a guy, or just you don't even go that high caliber. So the weird thing with Josh Jacobs, though, is he's going on a second contract at 25 years old.
He is very young.
So you got 3 years of him. And hashtag 3-year window means for the right price, for first and second, I'm buying Josh Jacobs. Anything over that, I'm not paying.
That's your limit, huh? That's your limit. I don't.
If it's a third, okay, I retract that. Because anything after that second round pick, like, I don't care. Like, if somebody, to be fair with you, if somebody came to me, hey, I want your first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, I'm like, Josh Jacobs, and I need a running back. Right. I'm like, okay.
There is not much of a difference in my eyes either between a first and a second and a first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Like,
no.
Here, have my sixth too. What am I going to do with it? Like, I don't care. Whatever. Because those guys are just roll of the dice. You can make that up somewhere else.
Okay,
it's not that big a deal.
You're a contender.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Right now, trade deadline comes up. Hey, I want your first this year. I want your second this year, and I want your second in 2024. I think I'd pay that. I think it's the most I would go if I need a running back.
If I need a running back, he's a high-end guy, and you're obviously going to – all those picks are going to be late.
That's the thing.
And he's young enough that he's not going to – like, the wheels aren't falling off that thing in the next year.
It's a move I'd rather make today to try and help me win this year too, like to keep going into it.
Sometimes those are the kind of moves you have to make going into the playoffs at times.
I paid a first and second for Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
Well, I got Alexander Madison too.
Right. But you're getting a lot more years with a guy like
I think
Josh Jacobs.
I know. And I think the problem is, Matt, I think you have to overpay for Josh Jacobs because of what he's done this year. So, and I mean, is it really like, are we really sending our team back that much if we're getting a first in 2 seconds and one of them 24, knowing they're late? Because you're only buying Josh Jacobs for a contender. Again, you're only buying running backs if you're a contender. That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Literally, no other time are you buying running backs.
And here's the deal. You're paying a first and 2 seconds. If you do well this year and win, and maybe you keep him another year, but then you get rid of him down the road for a second. So you're getting that second. You know what I mean? Like, you can always get that at least a chunk of what you've purchased one of these players for in the trade back if you at least timely, down the road, you get rid of him.
He's young enough where you could ride him for 2 years and probably get that first back.
That's what I mean.
To a contender.
Yeah,
like, hey, who needs him? And he first gets them. You know what I mean? Like, he's that kind of like, those are running backs I love to buy at like this age, because if I pay the first a little bit more, I can always, usually if it pans out, I can recoup that first. Like when I gave up a first and something else for Saquon Barkley, in my head was going, if he pans out this year, which I thought he would, and he did, I was like, I can easily write him out this year and write him out next year. And then at the end of next year, if it doesn't work out to my favor, I can get that first back. And then even if he does work out to my favor, that offseason, I can get that first back.
And I think that's almost the way you have to look at trades and look at that kind of thing. Like there are some guys that you're going to trade for right before the deadline. You're making the playoffs. It's Latavius Murray. It's a couple of thirds. You're burning those picks. Yeah. They're gone. You know what I mean? You're never going to recoup that. It's gone. You might end up cutting them next year. Boom. It's the same thing, you know what I mean, as burning those picks. But a guy like this, young enough, you're going to get something back for those guys. Nine times out of 10, unless something crazy happens, blows out a knee or something.
Yeah, 8 times out of 10.
Maybe 8 times out of 10. You get something back though. Like whatever you're paying, just know that you're going to get something back at the end of that. So you kind of have to have that long-term vision on all your trades.
First and 2 seconds is what I would pay if I could get a running back.
Yeah.
And I don't love paying that value, but like I think because of the recoup factor, I would do it.
Yeah. It's the resale value.
Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast.